Wife got called in for jury duty. Nobody gets out of it. And that's what I even told her. You may call the next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just for a brief portion, we are going to call to the stand Detective Ryan Verna, who's retired.
Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat in the witness stand. And for the record, say and spell your first and last name, please.
It's Ryan, R-Y-A-N. Last name is Verna, B as in Victor, E-R-N-A.
May proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Verna, are you currently employed?
I am not.
Are you retired?
Yes.
When did you retire?
In 2020.
When was that?
June of 2020.
Okay. Approximately how many years were you at your previous employment?
20 years.
And where was that?
Los Angeles Police Department.
And in what capacity were you working when you retired in June of 2020?
I was a homicide investigator for Valley Bureau.
Okay. And how many years had you worked in a homicide unit or division?
9 years.
Okay. And how long were you assigned to Valley Bureau Homicide?
It was established in 2016, so approximately 4 years.
And approximately how many homicide detectives were assigned to Valley Bureau Homicide at the time when you were there between 2016 and 2020?
There were approximately 18 working detectives, along with additional supervisors and support staff.
Approximately how many homicides did you personally handle yourself?
Over my 9 years?
Yes.
Approximately 30.
Okay. And approximately how many homicide cases did you assist on?
Hundreds.
Okay. And did you work on the case of the murder of the victim in this particular trial, Fabio Sementilli?
I did.
And were you assigned as one of the investigating officers to this case?
I was.
And did you have a partner with you?
Yes.
And who was that?
Gene Parshall.
Okay. Is he now deceased?
He is.
Okay. And was there, when you work on a case, whether it be a homicide or any other type of case within LAPD, are cases assigned within LAPD some type of unique tracking number?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yes. Each case is given what's called a DR number. It's a series of digits. So it starts off with the year, and then so it'd be a two-digit number, and then a two-digit number for the division it's assigned to, and then a five-digit number for the actual case itself as it progresses. So
sequentially through the year?
Yes. So the first case assigned in the year would be 0001, and then it would move on from there.
Okay. And is this referred to the LAPD DR number? Is that like a divisional report number?
Yes.
And the divisional report number for this case, was that 17-21-05194?
Yes.
Is that a unique case number within LAPD?
Yes. It would only be assigned to one case.
And if it's a unique case number, then throughout your investigation, what happens to any evidence that is collected pursuant to your investigation?
It is also booked to that particular number.
Okay. And did you and your partner, Detective Parshall, handle the investigation into the homicide involving Fabio Sementilli for several months?
Yes.
And at some point in time, was the case reassigned to LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division?
It was.
And is that something that happens occasionally to cases that you would initially be assigned to?
Occasionally.
Okay. And when does that happen?
In general, when does that happen?
Yes.
Well, it comes with a lot of discussions internally within our bureau, and then it would come with discussions within Robbery Homicide Division, and ultimately there's particular reasons why it would be reassigned.
Okay.
So,
And is there usually a common reason why it may be reassigned from the divisional level to Robbery Homicide Division?
yes, I mean we have within our bureau we have limited resources. We have a limited number of detectives that can handle cases, and when they grow outside the scope of what's a normal case within our bureau, then we have to start looking for outside resources.
Okay. And is the Robbery Homicide Division one of those resources?
Yes.
And so did you handle this case from January 23rd of 2017 through sometime in March of 2017?
Yes.
And were you still involved in this case after it was assigned to the Robbery Homicide Division in March of 2017 until the arrest in June of 2017?
Yes, in some capacity.
Okay. And did you work between March and June, the date of arrest, together with the detectives from Robbery Homicide Division?
Yes.
Do you recall who those detectives were?
Yeah, it was Detective Barry Tellis and Detective Chris Gable.
Okay. And during that period of time, did you and or your partner build a relationship with the defendant in this case, Monica Sementilli?
Yes, we did.
And did you also interview her on a couple of occasions?
Yes.
Do you see her here in court?
I do.
Can you identify her for the record, please?
Yeah, she's seated to my right, wearing a blue blazer with a white shirt.
Thank you, Your Honor. And when the case was transitioning to the Robbery Homicide Division, did you and your partner make the defendant aware of the fact that the case was being transferred to Robbery Homicide Division, or was that kept secret?
It was kept secret.
Okay. And for what reasons?
Well, at the time there was a belief that she may be involved in the case as a suspect, so we weren't going to play our cards that way.
Okay. On the date of January 23rd of 2017 at about 6:30 in the evening, were you notified of a homicide?
Yes.
And how does it work when you're assigned to a homicide division in terms of notifications?
Well, typically there's a radio call that's generated. Officers are dispatched and respond to the scene. Once there's a confirmation that someone has passed away from homicide, they will notify their division watch commander, who then notifies our supervision at our bureau, and then they notify us. And so we would respond from where we were, which in this case was my house.
Okay. So if you are assigned to a homicide division, does that mean that you can be called out at all hours of the day and night, including
Yes.
weekends? Okay. And so after you were notified, as you mentioned, about 6:30 p.m. of this homicide, approximately what time did you arrive at the scene of 5012 Queen Victoria Road in Woodland Hills within LA County?
Approximately 8:10 p.m.
Okay. And do you recall how long you were there or what time you finally left the scene?
I believe it was sometime around 2:30 in the following morning.
Okay. Your Honor, I have a set of photos that is marked crime scene. It contains 82 pages. May this set of photographs be marked, please, as People's 8. I'm
Seven.
sorry, 7.
Yes.
Showing you what's been now marked as People's 7. If you could just take a brief look through those.
Did you want me to look through every page?
Just take a brief look and tell me, have you previously reviewed this entire packet?
Yes, I have.
And do the documents, the photographs that are contained in this packet accurately depict what you observed at the crime scene, on the evening of January 23rd, 2017?
They do.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have another set of crime scene photos that is labeled Crime Scene Patio, victim Fabio Sementilli, and it is 25 pages in length. May it be marked, please, collectively as People's 8.
It may.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach?
Council can approach at any time without permission.
Thank you, Your Honor. Showing you People's 8. Can you again briefly look through those photographs?
Yes.
Have you previously reviewed this packet?
Yes.
And again, do these photos accurately depict what you observed at the crime scene that night?
They do.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have a third set of photographs that is labeled Sementilli Residence with the address. It is 24 pages in length. May it collectively be marked as People's 9.
Yes.
Thank you. Showing you People's 9. Again, if you could review the photographs contained in that packet.
Yes.
Have you previously reviewed this packet?
Yes.
And again, does this set of photos accurately depict the crime scene or the, not necessarily the crime scene, but the residence that you were at on that evening, January 23rd of 2017?
Yes, it depicts the residence.
Okay. Not necessarily taken on 23rd, but photographs of the residence you were at on January 23rd?
Correct.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this point, we are going to switch to another witness. We just wanted to mark some exhibits. If Detective Verna could step off the stand, we will subsequently recall him.
Not quite. You may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Verna, those 3 packets of photographs, were they taken at your direction?
No.
So there were other LAPD officers on the scene when you arrived?
There were.
Was there personnel from the crime lab there as well when you arrived?
Not when I arrived, no.
So these photos were taken after you arrived?
Yes. 2 of the packets, the first packet I was shown are overall pictures of the crime scene. The second packet were photos of the decedent for the most part, in position where he was. And then the third packet was taken at a later time. I believe those photos were when the home was listed for sale, for the most part.
So that would have been, what, weeks later?
I think months later.
Months later. At your direction? The photos were
I
taken-
didn't direct the home to be sold, no.
No.
Yeah.
You didn't buy it either, no.
I did not, no.
I'm talking about the photos
Yes.
that were taken weeks later. Was that at your direction?
No, I believe it's something that the realtor did when they listed the home.
I see. So that wasn't part of LAPD's investigation?
Correct.
But you've identified them as photographs you've seen before, and it accurately reflects the location that is depicted in the photograph.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's right.
And the first set of photographs, does the crime lab or SID, if that's the initials, decide which photographs to take of the victim and the crime scene and so forth, or do you direct them in any way?
For the most part, they're directed at what's going to be of interest to us. They do take overalls that they take themselves. We don't need to direct them to take an overall of a house, or most likely the vehicles that are parked out front. That's something they just kind of do themselves.
So they take it upon themselves to decide what photographs might be necessary for the investigation and so forth? Or do you assist in any way?
We assist to a certain degree. I mean, like I said, when they show up, they do what's called overalls. So they'll take pictures of the general house, the street, vehicles that are parked in the driveway, things like that. Now, when it comes to actual pictures of the decedent, we kind of direct like how they're going to be taken from, what angles, what's important. If there's evidence that's at the scene, we direct them where the evidence is at to take photos of that stuff.
What about the rest of the house that is not the actual crime scene? Are photographs taken of the entire house and bedrooms, other rooms, and so forth?
I don't recall if they were taken all over the house at this location. I know there's like a second floor that wasn't in play, so I don't know if there was pictures of those rooms or not.
You don't recall directing them to take photographs of anywhere else in the house other than the actual crime scene, garage, and so forth?
Again, I don't recall, and I don't know if it was necessarily my call on which photos were taken. I'm just talking in general about how things work.
So there may be other photographs besides the ones that you looked at that were taken in this case?
There could be.
Okay. You indicated at some point that the case was transferred, is that correct?
Correct.
And that was because you needed more personnel? Did I hear that right?
I can give you specifics if you'd like.
Well, I heard more personnel was necessary
Correct.
to engage in the actual investigation.
Correct.
Things like tailing the suspects and so forth.
Yes, there was a belief at one point in time that a wiretap would be necessary in this case, and to run a wire room, it's virtually impossible for our bureau to do something like that. So in that case, yes, it was out of our scope of the realm of what we could do.
Okay, and also entailing suspects and so forth.
Well, we don't do that in general. We don't have the ability, we don't have the cars or the manpower, so that's why we reached out to other agencies within our department to handle that, like G&D.
And other agencies were reached out in this case?
Correct.
Okay. You indicated you did not communicate with Ms. Sementilli and that she was a suspect in the case, obviously, correct?
Say it again, sir?
You did not communicate to Ms. Sementilli that she was a suspect in this case.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. And you never told her that Mr. Baker was a suspect in this case. Is that correct?
No, sir.
It is correct.
Oh, it's correct, yeah, but we didn't, yeah. No, we did not tell her.
You had, by that time, through scientific evidence, pretty much established that he was a prime suspect as one of the two murderers. Is that correct?
At one point we did, yes.
And then you continued your investigation for several months without notifying Ms. Sementilli of that fact. Is that correct?
Yeah, they seemed pretty friendly, so we did not.
We've established that. We've established that. And there was a second murder you were aware of. Is that correct?
We knew there was an additional suspect at the time, but we did not know who it was.
And did you continue your investigation into the identity of that individual?
Yes.
And I take it you were long gone from force by the time that he was identified and arrested. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Do you have any role in the case after you retired,
No.
other than testifying here today?
No, sir.
Can you tell us approximately when you determined that Mr. Baker was a suspect in this case?
I believe the date was February 14th, 2017, when the DNA results came back.
And that was due to scientific evidence and the results of DNA being found in locations in the car and so forth, which would indicate that he had been present, his blood was present, and so forth.
Correct.
So from that date, he was a suspect.
Yes.
Could have been arrested.
Could have been.
And from that day on, one of your duties was to try to document whether or not he and Ms. Sementilli were having an affair. Is that right?
It wasn't about whether they're having an affair or not. That's not the...
You knew that
I
already?
wasn't investigating an affair.
Well, you were investigating a murder, correct?
Yes.
And during the course of the murder, you uncovered evidence that they were having an affair. Is that
Yes,
right?
that is correct.
And that was a major part of your investigation, correct? Documenting that.
Documenting it, yes. It's whether or not they had an affair is not part of my homicide investigation, though.
Right, it's irrelevant whether or
Right.
not they were having an affair. What's relevant is whether or not she participated in the murder.
Absolutely.
And that's what your investigation was focused on.
Correct.
Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further by the people?
Yes, briefly on these topics. Would it be fair to say that even though you had DNA evidence pointing to Robert Baker as being at the crime scene and also being in the victim's Porsche that was stolen after the murder, that you and the other homicide detectives at Valley Bureau continued to investigate him along with anybody else that you suspected might have been involved prior to making any arrests?
Yes.
Anything further by the defense?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Detective Verna. You may stand down.
Thank you.
You may call the next witness.
People call Officer Gabriel Revelator.
That's it. Anything new in the business?
I know who it's supposed to be, which is
Okay.